Hi, I'm Sumathi, Assistant Professor in PG and Research Department of Biotechnology in JJ College of Arts and Science, Pudukkottai. In this video, we are going to discuss about the respiratory system, especially the respiratory system of human beings. The respiratory system, which is situated in the thoracic region, that is thoracic cavity of the human beings, that means the upper part of the human body, which is responsible for the gaseous exchange between the circulatory system and the outside of the world. The exchange of gases means the oxygen and carbon dioxide. These are the gases responsible for the uh, respiration. The word respiration comes from the language Latin. In Latin, the word respire means breathe, to breathe. So we are all called as respiration. Breathing process is also called as respiration. For the respiratory system, there are a lot of organs involved in that process. The organ starts from the air enters into the nose. So the respiratory system starts from nose and ends with lung. A nose, then the air enters into pharynx, then larynx, then trachea, then bronchus and bronchioles, and at last alveoli. These are the parts of the respiratory system. The air is passed inside the nose at first. The major function of the respiratory system is air distribution and gaseous exchange. Air distribution means that the pass of distribution of oxygen throughout the body through the blood vessels, especially arteries. The gas exchange means inside the lung, the inhaled air is exchanged between the carbon dioxide from the blood vessels. Then other functions of the respiratory system is uh, filter, warm, and humidifying the air. Is also associated with the olfaction and speech. Olfaction means smelling. Analyze the smell of the air and also able to speak. Next, what is the path of the air? What is the path of the air? That means the how it is passed into the lungs. From starts from nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, and at last lungs. The upper respiratory tract, the nose receives the upper respiratory tract means the area, the organs present before lungs, before reaching the air, reach before lungs. That part of the area is called as upper respiratory tract. Nose, pharynx, larynx, and trachea. After the nose receives the air will filtered with the help of the nostril cilia like structures, which prevents the dust particles and also the microorganisms from the environment. Then colds affects this part of the respiratory system. So the air was humidified and warmed in that region. The pharynx have a different sections. Nasopharynx, that different sections are nasopharynx, oropharynx, and laryngopharynx. In nasopharynx, the air is received from the surroundings and contains the opening to the auditory and helps to keep the pressure equal between the medial and external air. Then the region oropharynx, it is the region responsible for intake of air and intake of food through the mouth. The epiglottis, which is present in the oropharynx, which is particularly used to prevent the food will get into the lungs. Then next is laryngopharynx. Next is laryngopharynx. This is the area before the trachea, present before the trachea, which carries the air to the trachea towards the lungs and contains the vocal cords also. The trachea, which begins uh, to connect the two lungs. The trachea is used to connect the two lungs, right lung and left lung. Each lung is somewhat different in shape and also volume occupied. Right lung is larger than left lung. The right lung is divided into three lobes, left lung having only two lobes. Then the entire respiratory system, the lung is covered by a special membrane having a that is pleura, which having a pleural fluid. Some fluid is present in it. That fluid is called as pleural fluid, which prevents the friction of the organ with the ribs cage. It just act as a lubricating fluid. The trachea having a C-shaped incomplete rings. There are 16 to 20 incomplete cartilage rings. It is also called as windpipe. Is lined with respiratory epithelium, which also used to prevent the entering of microorganism, which is escaped in the nose and pharynx and larynx. Then the cool fact, the esophagus is right behind the trachea, and this is why it is has C-shaped cartilage instead of full rings, because the esophagus is present behind the trachea. That also occupies some space. If it is a full ring structure, the esophagus have that much, that does not have having that much of space to uh, pass the food to the stomach. And then this slide shows the path of the air, that is pathway of the air, which is present in the lungs. Then that is lower respiratory tract. First one is main bronchi, next bronchial branches, then bronchioles and terminal sacs, that is alveoli. The bronchi continue to branch out into a smaller tube-like structure which is present inside the lungs. These branches are a part of the respiratory tree. These branches are also called as bronchioles. The branches also called as bronchioles. It ends with the little ball-like structures or elastic sacs, uh, air sacs. It is also called as alveoli. It is also called as alveoli. The alveoli air sacs are responsible for the gas exchanges via diffusion into the capillaries. The gas exchanges happens in the two types of cells. The type 1 cells in the alveoli, which where oxygen that binds with the hemoglobin in the blood to make oxyhemoglobin, which can carry the oxygen to the cells. Then type 2 cells make the surfactant. A surfactant means a substance that prevents the alveoli for collapsing and reduces the surface tension when we breathe. These are the main functions of the alveoli. What is the mechanism of respiration? The mechanism of respiration is separated into two processes, inspiration and expiration. Inspiration means the intake of atmospheric air is known as inspiration. During inspiration, the thoracic cavity of the area which increases in size, the air pressure which is decreases in the lungs. But an expiration is just opposite to that. The exhaling carbon dioxide during inspiration, intake the atmospheric air. During expiration, you are exhaling the carbon dioxide, which is called as expiration. The size of the thoracic cavity during inspiration, the size of the thoracic cavity is increases, the air pressure is decreases. But in expiration, the size of the thoracic cavity decreases and the air pressure increases. These are the basic mechanism of respiration. The next, the muscles which are involved in the respiration. During inspiration, the diaphragm and external intercostal muscle is involved in the inspiration process. During expiration, external intercostal muscles and abdominal muscles are all involved in the external respiration. Remember that more muscles are used when a person is breathing heavily. Then next we seen about the lung capacity. Lung capacity means how much of the air is occupied the area of the lungs. That is the total volume of the lungs. The tidal volume, these are all discussed about tidal volume, vital capacity, and expiratory reserve volume, inspiratory reserve volume. Tidal volume means the amount of air we normally breathe. That is tidal volume. Then vital capacity means the large amount of air we can breathe out at one time. That is vital capacity. Then expiratory reserve volume is the air you can force out after tidal volume. Then inspiratory reserve volume is the air can force in after tidal volume. These are the terms we were discussed in lung capacity. The next other important fact about the lungs means epithelium of the lung cells contain an important structure called cilia. We have also already discussed that these structures can be paralyzed in cigarette smokers. Cigarette smokers. There are areas in blood vessels, carotid body, that is in the neck region, the blood vessel is carotid body. In the chest region, the blood vessels are called as aortic bodies. Then that's all about respiratory system. Okay, thank you.